You did it again. You picked up your phone without knowing why. No notification pulled you in. No alarm went off. One moment you were doing something else, and then your hand was already moving toward it. You checked the screen, found nothing new, and set it back down. And now, somewhere in the back of your mind, you already feel the urge to do it again. This is not a bad habit. This is not weak willpower. This is one of the oldest survival systems your brain has ever built, running on hardware designed for a world that no longer exists. To understand why you cannot stop checking your phone, you have to go back. Not 5 years, not 50, about 2 million years. Your ancestors did not live in a world of guaranteed safety. Every environment they moved through was a landscape of hidden threats, rustling grass, a shadow crossing the tree line, a sound that did not match the sounds around it. The humans who survived were not the strongest ones. They were the most alert ones. They were the ones whose brains never fully switched off. The ones who kept scanning. The ones who noticed. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp, who spent decades studying the emotional systems of the brain, identified what he called the seeking system. This is one of the most ancient circuits in the mammalian brain. Its job is not to find something specific. Its job is to keep looking, to search, to scan. The seeking system is not satisfied by arrival. It is activated by the search itself, flooding the brain with dopamine not when you find something, but when you are looking for something. The anticipation is the reward. Your phone is a perfect seeking machine. Every time you reach for it, your brain does not know what it is about to find. That uncertainty is not a flaw in the system. That uncertainty is the system. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated this with a now famous series of experiments in the 1950s. Animals that received rewards on a predictable schedule stopped responding with urgency once they learned the pattern. But animals that received rewards at random intervals could not stop responding. They pressed the lever compulsively. They kept going even when the rewards stopped coming entirely. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. Your phone runs on exactly this mechanism. Sometimes there is a message. Sometimes there is nothing. You never know which one it will be, and so you keep checking. But the pull goes deeper than dopamine. Your ancestors lived in small groups of roughly 20 to 150 people. These were not just social companions. These were survival units. If you were excluded from the group, you died. Not metaphorically, not emotionally. You actually died. Alone at night, without fire, without protection, without food-sharing networks, you had no viable path to survival. The terror of social rejection that you feel today is not an overreaction. It is an ancient alarm system calibrated to a genuine lethal threat. Robin Dunbar, the evolutionary psychologist who first identified the cognitive limits of human social group size, has argued that the human brain evolved its extraordinary complexity partly to track social relationships. Who is allied with whom? Who is angry? Who can be trusted? Who has changed their behavior and why? This kind of social monitoring was not idle curiosity. It was intelligence gathering in a world where a shift in social standing could determine whether you ate or starved, whether you were protected or exposed. Your phone is a social monitoring device. Every time you check it, your brain is asking the same questions it has always asked. Has someone responded? Has something shifted? Am I still in? Am I still connected? Am I still safe? Now here is the part that should change the way you see this entirely. For 99% of human history, your ancestors operated in environments where this constant scanning actually worked. If you watched the tree line long enough, the threat either appeared or it did not. If you listened for footsteps, you either heard them or you did not. The environment gave you feedback. The loop closed. Your nervous system could rest. Your phone does not work this way. Researcher Larry Rosen, a psychologist at California State University, who has studied technology and anxiety for over 3 decades, found that the average person checks their phone every 15 minutes or fewer. Not because they are expecting something specific, but because the loop never closes. You check. You find something. It leads to more things to check. Or you find nothing, and the absence of information does not satisfy the brain the way a resolved threat once did. So you check again. The seeking circuit is ancient and powerful, but it was not designed for an environment with infinite scroll and perpetual notification badges. It was designed for a world where the search eventually ended. Your brain is running a survival program that was never given an off switch, in an environment specifically engineered to keep that program running. This is not a coincidence. The architects of social media platforms and notification systems know this. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris has publicly documented how engineers deliberately applied the logic of slot machines and variable reward systems to platform design. Pull to refresh, the like counter, the notification badge. These are not accidental features. They are interfaces built to exploit the same ancient seeking circuitry that kept your ancestors alive. The result is a body under low-level continuous stress. When your brain expects a reward and does not get it, it does not simply move on. It interprets the absence as a signal to search harder. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises slightly. Attention narrows. The pull intensifies. You are not scrolling because you are bored. You are scanning because some ancient part of your brain has decided that something important might be out there, and that the cost of missing it is survival. None of this means you are powerless. Understanding the mechanism is the first step to working with it rather than against it. The brain that builds compulsive habits is also the brain that builds intentional ones. The seeking circuit can be redirected. It can be given targets that are chosen rather than offered. It can learn, with enough repetition, that silence is not a threat. But it takes deliberate effort, because everything on the other end of that screen has been designed by teams of engineers whose only goal is to make sure the effort feels too high. You are not weak. You are ancient. Your brain is not broken. It is working exactly as it was built to work, in a world it was never designed for. And the next time your hand moves toward your phone before your mind has decided to, remember what you now know. That is not distraction. That is 2 million years of survival instinct, still scanning the tree line, still watching for movement in the dark, still asking the oldest question your species has ever asked. Is something out there? The answer used to be yes. Tonight, when you reach for your phone without knowing why, you already know the answer is probably no. But your brain does not know that yet. And that gap between what your ancient hardware expects and what your modern world actually delivers is where every compulsive check lives. Right there, in the space between the animal that survived and the world it woke up in.